Have you wondered recently whether you're on track for retirement or other financial goals? Like, are your kids set up for financial success? Ty Nafziger from Benjamin F. Edwards & Company is hosting a 30-minute seminar to help you answer these questions and more. Ty's goal is to help families feel confident in their financial plan. So join Ty at the seminar on September 11th at 2 p.m. at the Monona Library in the Municipal Room downstairs. And kids are welcome. Benjamin F. Edwards & Company is a member SIPC. Today on CityCast Madison. We're stitching into the happenings of the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show this week. Starting tomorrow, Thursday, September 5th, going through Saturday, September 7th, you can go and see some of the best quilts in the state at the Alliant Energy Center. This is a 3-day event that's a grand celebration of the art of quilting. And one of the quilt makers presenting this week is a fixture in the Madison fiber arts community, Gail Boyd, owner of Blue Bar Quilts. We sat down with Gail to ask about the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show and about the magical workings of her queer-owned shop, which is a local hub for Madison Quilt Guilds. It's Wednesday, September 4th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Bianca. How are you today?
I'm doing really good. Folks can't see you, but you are sitting in front of a gorgeous quilt that has blue birds and all sorts of different patterns and gorgeous affairs, which is a lovely way to start this conversation because it is a busy time of year for quilters in this part of the world. Will you tell us what's going on?
Yes, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show starts on September 5th and runs through September 7th. And everybody in our local quilting community is very busy getting ready for it, either to attend or vend or show a beautiful quilt or volunteer at the quilt show, which is much needed this year. So if anybody wants to volunteer, go to quiltshow.com.
Well, let's talk about it. What can folks expect at the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show that happens at the Alliant Energy Center?
Well, it's an amazing, juried, world-class quilt show. It's the 20th year of the show. And there's not just the juried quilt show, there are special exhibits and some really cool ones this year. There's one that has Lone Star quilts from the Native American community. There's Black Threads, which is a BIPOC quilting group here in Madison. They have an exhibit of their story quilts. The Cherrywood Challenge quilts that are the Monarch Butterfly exhibit. So just lots of cool things to see this year at the show. Plus the Black and White +1 exhibit, which is their annual challenge.
Tell us about the challenge, because I know that's kind of a thing people look forward to.
Yeah, the Great Wisconsin Quilt Show does a themed challenge every year, and they are repeating a theme from 2016, which is Black and White +1. So the quilts all have to be the same size, 20 inches by 30 inches, and the challenge is to use black and white fabrics plus one other color of your choice, and anything goes. So the theme is very broad. You're going to see a huge range of subject matter in that show for sure. It's going to be really cool. But it was one of their most popular challenge themes ever, so they're repeating it this year. So I'm excited to see that exhibit.
Nice. Is this something that you contribute to personally? Like, have you made something? Are you an appreciator?
I wish I had more time to do my own quilting, but running retail brick and mortar is very time consuming. But I am a huge appreciator, and every year we exhibit the challenge quilts from 2 years prior in our hallway gallery in July and August. And this year we had the Nancy Zeman 40 years of sewing with Nancy quilts in our hallway, but they just came down last night, and I'm putting up a new show today with fiber artist Marty Patillo. So that will be up for the month of September. So I'll have a show in my hallway gallery during the show time as well.
Well, that's really exciting. And so really it's like the best of the best, like you said, because there's jurists. These go through a whole process of being judged. And what kind of things are the folks looking for when it comes to like, this is an excellent quilt and it's going to make it into the show?
Yeah, workmanship and composition and artistry, all of those are important to the jurists. Although it's very subjective, sometimes, like any artwork, it may not be your taste, but it may be beautifully made. And there are multiple categories from very traditional to very modern in this show. There's an art quilt category. There are bed-size quilts and wall quilts. And, like I said, from traditional to modern, improv, portraiture, anything you can imagine. It's just, it's like going to an art gallery, but everything's fabric.
And this great Wisconsin quilt show draws a ton of folks, and it's related with Wisconsin Public Broadcasting.
Right. They are presenting, like they present the Garden Expo, the quilt show is also their baby, and they're presenting it in combination with Nancy Zeman Productions. And Nancy Zeman had Sewing with Nancy, still in rebroadcast forever and ever on public broadcasting.
I used to work at Wisconsin Public Broadcasting for a second. One of some of my early career moments. I know how huge the Garden Expo is and how huge the quilt show is. Like, it really, really is. It's a heavy hitter. And I'm just curious, what do you think it is about that show and about quilting in general that brings in so many passionate people?
Well, there's something for everybody at this show because I'm looking at the program. So they have sit and sew workshops, they have lectures, they have stage presentations, there are vendors. I'll be there vending as well, selling sewing machines and quilt kits. But there's something for everybody. There's everything from English paper piecing, which is a hand-stitched, pieced, very traditional technique, to AI quilting.
Okay.
So there's a presenter from the Chicago area, Teresa Benson, who's coming up, and she's presenting on AI, using AI in quilting, which is really cool. She's made some really cool quilts.
That is interesting. Like AI kind of dictating a design, like taking
I haven't seen her lecture all the way through, but I hope to catch some more information on that. I know she'll be presenting to Mad City Quilt Guild later this year, so. Quilting is modern.
Quilting is modern. And if AI can do it, anyone can do it. So
exactly.
I feel like this sort of art, fabric art, has gotten a lot more popular over the pandemic. Like, folks wanted something to do. I don't know if Michelle Obama's book had anything to do with it. I don't know if you read it, but she's like, I got into knitting.
Yes.
And that's like one of her things. And I feel like it's gotten really, really popular, but it's already had a strong, long-going fan base. Have you seen any evolving happening in the quilting and fiber arts community?
Absolutely. There was a big influx of crafters during the pandemic, and many people stuck with it and just ran with it. We had many new customers during that time that started making masks, and also lots of things for the medical community. And it just blossomed from there. There were people that turned from mask makers into quilters for sure. We have a lot of those people still coming in and getting new projects all the time. And they started just making masks for their friends and their community and donation. And it's a really cool evolution to watch.
Yeah, and that was such a dark time. And I know it's still hard for plenty of folks, but that was one of the little glimmers where people sharing their skills through making masks. I know is something that I got some kind of bespoke face coverings from friends that made me feel really special and loved.
Yeah.
And that's, like you said, some of the community work that you do at your shop. You have a very community-focused shop. Blue Bar Quilts in Middleton.
Yes. Our tagline is modern quilting community, and we love all three of those things. And we have a lot of community service sewing opportunities at the shop. We're a full service retail shop. We sell fabric and patterns and notions and everything you could want for quilting and sewing. We offer a lot of classes, but we have a lot of opportunities for community service sewing at the shop. And we're also an in-kind sponsor of the G-Safe online quilt and fiber art auction that happens every late November, early December. This year, it's November 26th through December 3rd. But we have a boomerang bags group that makes reusable tote bags out of fabric that would likely go into a landfill, and those get distributed in the community through community centers and food pantries. We have a group from the university, Demeter, that's part of the ag school, and they use our space once a month to make 100 head coverings for the Carbone Cancer Center every month.
Wow.
Mad City Quilt Guild uses our space once a month to work on their community service quilts, which they donate to Linus Project, which is an organization that donates quilts to kids that are in crisis, either through first responders, shelters, any kind of organization like that. And also Quilts Beyond Borders. And those quilts go all over the world to refugee camps and developing countries for kids and adults all over the world.
My goodness gracious, Gail.
Yeah, we have some fabulous giving people in our community. Quilters love to do stuff for other people. That's kind of universal. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of work you do or how old you are. We have a lot of busy people in our community.
Red at the Bone, The Sixth Extinction, Le Petit Prince. Madison Public Library connects us to the world, to information, and to each other. And September is Library Card Sign-Up Month. So now's the perfect time to go find your newest fandom through books, movies, manga, music, and more when you get your very own Madison Public Library card. And this is fun. If you sign up in September at any of the 9 Madison Public Library locations, you can get your photo taken with a big library card. Hey, make it a celebration. Already have a card? Awesome. You can renew it this month and visit the library website for a list of 30 things you can do with your Madison Library card. One for every day in September. To get started, visit madpl.org. That's madpl.org. Or stop into any Madison Public Library location.
Hi, this is David, the CEO of CityCast. Do you ever find yourself holding back on travel because you're afraid of a language gap? Well, mind the gap no longer, as long as you have Babbel. Babbel is the science-backed language learning app. Its 10 minutes lessons are quick and handcrafted to get you talking your new language in 3 weeks. So I was reminded in the Olympics how much I love French. I had spoken French as a kid, but it has deteriorated to nothing. But I thought I would love to take a trip back to France with my girlfriend, but I'm embarrassed because my French is at 0. And I thought, why don't I get on Babbel and revive my French? And it's been a joy for the past few weeks. I'd forgotten everything. I'd forgotten plurals. I'd forgotten articles, vocabulary. Mostly I'd just forgotten how to speak and how to listen. And Babbel has me back on track with lots of speaking and lots of listening, because that's how you get better at a language. So I've been working on time, for example. And there's this way in French where when you say 2:45, you don't say 2:45, you say 3 o'clock minus 15. So, je rentre à 3h moins le quart. I'm coming back at 2:45. Anyway, it's so much fun to speak. And don't take my word for it. There's studies from Yale, from Michigan State University that prove that Babbel works. So, here's a special limited time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
One of the service projects that happens at your shop that really speaks to me that you shared about is the quilting that's given to foster care, folks that are graduating out of foster care. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Lida's project has a focus to make quilts for kids that are aging out of the foster program so that they have a beautiful, big, adult-sized quilt to take when they go off into their adult lives, which is a really wonderful thing. And Linus is an amazing organization. They have volunteers that make quilts for kids all the way from, infancy in the NICU all the way up to kids aging out of foster care. So, yeah, it's a really cool project that they participate in.
It's just so loving, all of the service projects that are happening. Did you envision, starting your shop and this being the outgrowth? Was this your thought from the jump that it would be focused on community like this?
Absolutely. That's always been, I feel like the instigator because so everybody else is doing the hard work, who's doing the real work. And I'm just providing the space and the opportunity, which I love to do. And I love all the people that come in and work in the shop. I live vicariously through them. And occasionally I get to do a project here and there to help out, but mostly it's just facilitating and providing space and welcoming everybody in because I love seeing it.
And I understand that you have 2 quilting guilds that regularly meet at your shop.
Yes.
Madison has like 3, so you are really a center piece.
Yeah, we're a little bit of a hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of the third space for a lot of people. We're the happy place. So Madison Modern Quilt Guild meets here the second Thursday of every month. And Madison Contemporary Fiber Artists, which is an art quilt and fiber artists. There are more than just quilters in that group. And they meet the 4th Tuesday. And all of that's on our calendar on our website.
What is a quilters guild? It sounds very official, and I picture you guys like elves and rainbows and all of this beautiful stuff.
It's just a bunch of quilters that get together. It could be newbies, it could be seasoned quilters, just people that are of like mind that get together and show their quilts, talk about their quilts, organize events and workshops for themselves. They have speakers come in, or now a lot of people are doing virtual meetings as well. So sometimes we have experts and designers and makers zooming into meetings and telling us about what they're up to.
I love it. I love the focus. When did Blue Bar Quilts open? What was the genesis story?
Well, we've been open since 2017. I've been quilting since 1995, but sewing most of my life. And I was doing that alone in my basement. And I had worked previously at a shop that closed in 2015 called Stitcher's Crossing, which is also similarly kind of a hub for the community. And once they closed and I was quilting, I did not love being alone in my basement. So now I'm never alone. I just show up at the shop and everybody I know and love comes here. So I'm always in community no matter what the day is. I'm always here with my peeps.
If someone's listening to this conversation and just like wants to get in on this magic, this generative energy that we're stitching in right now, and wants to learn how to quilt, like where should beginners start? What should a beginner do? Are there good entry points for quilting?
Well, we offer beginning quilting classes, and Textile Arts Center here in town, that's a very new place in town also for textile arts. They offer a beginning quilting class, and a lot of people just like to DIY it. We have, however you learn, you can always find a good book. We can recommend a good book to you for beginning quilt making. There's always what I refer to as School of YouTube. There's a lot of DIY videos. We just assume anybody that walks into our door has an interest or a passion in either learning or furthering their knowledge. And there's no right or wrong way to go about it. We're here for you. If you've started a project and you need some advice, come on in, bring your project, show it to us. I have an amazing staff. They're all really talented and really encouraging. So there's lots of opportunities to learn quilting in Madison.
Yeah. And for folks who might not be able to get to the show this week or are crafty challenged and just want to appreciate the art.
Mm-hmm. Plenty of opportunity for that.
Yeah. How can folks see these cool objects? You mentioned that you have a gallery space of your own.
We have a gallery space that always has a show hanging in it, either for a month or 2 months. Our next artist is a member of Madison Contemporary Fiber Artists. Her name is Marty Patillo, and it's going to be a retrospective of her work. And then in October, we're going to have Memory Cloth Circle, which is a group that is primarily multimedia and hand stitching. And they often incorporate repurposed textiles or vintage textiles in their work. And they have an annual show with us in October, and their show theme this year is A Good Age. They always have a theme as well. And we'll be participating in Momoka's gallery night on October 4th, so people can see it then. But anytime our shop is open, you can come in and enjoy quilts. We have quilts hanging all over our shop, as well as a show in our hallway gallery. So even if you're an appreciator, come on in for a hit of art and color. We're always here for the appreciators.
I love that, a hit of art and color.
Yeah.
And, I just get the best vibes off of you. Like, I can just feel that quilting nourishes you and feeds your spirit and the community that you've created. Can you talk about why do you like to quilt and why do you love quilting? How does that bring life to you?
I don't know. I think it's the process. I like to have a deadline and I like to have a challenge sometimes. My most recent quilt, I made a shark-themed quilt for my little great nephew Everett, because he's really into sharks. He's 5, so he's super into sharks. Exactly. And that was super adorable to have him enjoy that. I made a space-themed quilt for one of my nephews when he graduated from high school. It took me way too long. He didn't get it till he was actually in college. Yeah, I've made a lot of family quilts. I've done a few quilts for shows. I'm not doing as much these days. I have a few employees that are trying to get me to make more things. So I'm like, okay, come take some of my hours here at the shop and maybe I can make something. And this time of year, nothing's getting done except show prep. But I hope after the show, I'll be doing a few more projects.
Well, thank you so much, Gail, for joining us and bringing us this joy and this insight on this big week for quilters. I feel like pretty energized and I want to come by your shop.
Oh, thanks, Bianca. We'd love to see you.
That's Gail Boyd, owner of Blue Bar Quilts. If you want to learn more about this year's Great Wisconsin Quilt Show or Blue Bar Quilts shop and gallery, head to our show notes for our link. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed this show, why not share this episode with your craftiest friend? Bonus points if they do knit or sew. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Ciao.